Captain Everett Kincaid stood at the bridge of the UES Harmony, his posture military perfect as he watched the Craxian diplomatic vessel dock. The alliance had been clear. Integrate this warrior princess into his command structure to solidify relations with the notoriously aggressive Craxian Empire. What they hadn't mentioned was how impossible she would be. Captain, Princess Thaxia is requesting immediate entry to the bridge, his communications officer reported, her voice carefully neutral. Kincaid sighed. Procedure states all new personnel report to orientation first. She says orientation is for common soldiers, sir, not for the daughter of High Warlord Dravik. Of course she did. Escort her to the bridge, Lieutenant. When the doors hissed open, Kincaid had to suppress a reaction. Thaxia stood nearly 7 feet tall, her scaled skin a deep indigo that caught the light like polished armor. Her head crest, a sign of royal lineage among Craxians, flared bright crimson. She wore traditional battle regalia rather than the standard Alliance uniform he'd requested. She didn't salute. Captain Kincaid, I am Princess Warrior Thaxia Vin Dravik, Battle Mistress of the 7th Craxian Fleet. Welcome aboard, Lieutenant Thaxia, he emphasized her assigned rank. I trust your journey was comfortable. Her upper lip curled slightly. I wasn't sent here for comfort, human. I was sent to learn your peacekeeping tactics, though why my father believes your soft methods have value remains beyond my understanding. The bridge crew tensed. Kincaid maintained his composure, steel beneath his calm exterior. On this vessel, Lieutenant, we follow chain of command. Your royal status holds no special privilege here. You'll report to Commander Takashi for duty assignment after completing standard orientation. Thaxia's crest flared brighter. I have commanded warships since before you completed your training, human. I will not be treated as some fresh recruit. Everyone aboard this ship earned their position through merit and discipline, not birthright, Kincaid replied evenly. You'll do the same. She stepped closer, using her height to full intimidating effect. Perhaps Craxians were right about humans, all ceremony, no spine. Kincaid didn't flinch. Lieutenant, you have 2 options. Follow protocols like every other officer, or I'll have security escort you to guest quarters until we can arrange transport back to your father, along with my report explaining why his daughter was unsuitable for this exchange program. A dangerous silence fell. The crew watched the standoff, barely breathing. Finally, Thaxia's crest flattened slightly. Very well, Captain, I will humor your procedures temporarily. Excellent, dismissed, Lieutenant. As she turned to leave, her tail lashed in barely contained fury, knocking a datapad from an ensign's hands. She didn't stop to acknowledge it. And Lieutenant, Kincaid called after her, uniform regulations apply to all officers, regardless of species or status. Her shoulders stiffened, but she didn't turn back as she exited the bridge. Commander Takashi approached once the doors closed. That went well, she said dryly. The Alliance needs this partnership, Kincaid replied, but not at the expense of this ship's discipline. She's used to deference, not orders. Her file says she's never served under anyone except her father. Kincaid nodded. Then it's time she learned. The Craxians respect strength and clear boundaries. Will give her both. What he didn't say was how much he admired her fierce pride, her warrior's bearing. In different circumstances, he might have found her fascinating. But as her commanding officer, he had a duty to transform that raw potential into something more disciplined, for the sake of the mission, the crew, and perhaps even for Thaxia herself. As he returned to the viewport, he had a feeling this assignment would test them both in ways neither expected. 2 weeks into her assignment, Lieutenant Thaxia had become the ship's most brilliant problem and most frustrating asset. Her combat skills were unmatched, her tactical knowledge impressive, but her disregard for protocol was legendary. She reconfigured the training simulator without authorization, Commander Takashi reported in Kincaid's ready room. When Engineer Reynolds objected, she told him Craxian children could improve our primitive systems and suggested he learn from her example. Kincaid pinched the bridge of his nose. And the diplomatic meeting tomorrow. That's why I'm here. She's demanding to lead the security detail for the Navarian delegation instead of attending as an observer as ordered. The door chimed before Kincaid could respond. Thaxia entered without waiting for permission, her new uniform altered to incorporate Craxian battle symbols. Captain, I need to discuss tomorrow's security arrangements. Lieutenant, this is an unscheduled interruption of a meeting with a superior officer, Kincaid said evenly. Thaxia's crest flickered with impatience. The Navarians are notorious for assassination attempts during peacetime negotiations. Your security plans are inadequate. Your input was noted in yesterday's briefing. And ignored, your humans will miss subtle Navarian threat displays. I've alerted my warriors on the Craxian vessel to stand ready. Kincaid stood abruptly. You did what? Arranged proper security. The Craxian squadron will remain cloaked until needed. Takashi paled. Captain, if armed Craxian warriors appear unexpectedly, it would violate 3 alliance treaties and potentially start a war, Kincaid finished. Lieutenant, rescind that order immediately. Thaxia's scales darkened with anger. I will not compromise security for political theater. This isn't a request. Rescind that order. Their eyes locked in silent battle. Finally, Thaxia activated her communicator, barking orders in her native tongue. It's done, she said coldly. But when Navarian assassins strike, remember who tried to prevent it. I'll remember who nearly caused an interstellar incident, Kincaid countered. Report to conference room 3 at 800 hours tomorrow, as an observer only. This is dismissed, Lieutenant. After she stormed out, Takashi whistled softly. I've never seen anyone challenge you like that. She believes she's protecting everyone, Kincaid said, surprising himself by defending her. But she needs to understand chain of command exists for a reason. The next day proved catastrophic. During delicate negotiations, Thaxia interrupted the Navarian ambassador, accusing him of concealing weapons. When security found nothing, the ambassador demanded her removal. Instead of complying, she publicly challenged him to ritual combat to prove his honorable intentions. By the time Kincaid had salvaged the situation, relations with the Navarians were severely strained. He found her in the officers' mess, regaling junior officers with tales of Craxian battle tactics. Lieutenant Thaxia, my ready room now. The mess hall fell silent as they departed. In the privacy of his office, Kincaid's controlled facade finally cracked. You directly disobeyed orders, undermined alliance diplomacy, and nearly started a conflict. The Navarians are hiding something, she insisted. Even if true, that wasn't your call to make. Thaxia's crest flared fully. On Craxia, warriors speak truth regardless of political consequences. You're not on Craxia. This ends now. Kincaid's voice became dangerously quiet. You're confined to quarters when not on duty. Your security clearance is revoked. Starting tomorrow, you'll report to engineering for manual recalibration of all systems you modified without authorization. You can't. I can and I have. Until you demonstrate you understand what discipline means, you'll have no privileges aboard this ship. You'll earn your place like everyone else. For a moment he thought she might strike him. Instead, her voice came as a low growl. My father will hear of this humiliation. I'm counting on it, Kincaid replied evenly. Because he sent you here to learn not to command, and learn you will, Lieutenant. Dismissed. As she left, Kincaid felt no satisfaction. What he did feel, watching her proud shoulders stiffen with rage, was something far more complicated: respect for her passion and determination to channel it properly. The hydrospanner slipped from Thaxia's grasp for the 3rd time, clattering against the access panel. She cursed in her native tongue, the sound guttural and threatening. Having trouble, Lieutenant? Engineer Reynolds asked, not bothering to hide his satisfaction. These tools are designed for weak human hands, she snapped. Funny, the Tellarite engineers use them just fine with those massive paws of theirs. Thaxia bit back another retort. 2 weeks of menial engineering tasks had taught her that engaging with Reynolds only prolonged her punishment. She had expected punishment after the Navarian incident. On Craxia, it would have been public flogging or ritual combat. What she hadn't expected was this: methodical dismantling of her pride. Captain Kincaid hadn't shouted or threatened. He had simply reassigned her, restricting her to tasks so far beneath her station that her crest burned with humiliation. The alignment's still off by 0.03 degrees, Reynolds noted, checking her work. Again. As she reset the calibration sequence, the ship's internal communications activated. All hands, this is Captain Kincaid. The Harmony will undergo emergency atmospheric entry drills starting at 900. Department heads, prepare your stations. Reynolds frowned. He didn't mention this in the morning briefing. Something in his tone made Thaxia look up. Is that unusual? The captain runs a tight schedule. Unplanned drills are rare. Thaxia's warrior instincts stirred. Kincaid was meticulous. She'd learned that much during her punishment. Unscheduled drills meant something was wrong. I need to report to my station, she said, rising. Reynolds blocked her path. Your station is here until you complete the recalibration. She could have easily overpowered him, but 2 weeks under Kincaid's discipline had taught her restraint. Engineer, something is not right. The captain gave you orders, and after the Navarian disaster, you're in no position to question them. Thaxia's crest flattened in frustration. 2 weeks ago, she would have ignored him. Now she returned to the panel, working with renewed focus to complete the task quickly. Later, exhausted from 12 hours of manual labor, Thaxia entered the officers' mess. Conversations stopped as she approached the replicator. Most crew members still viewed her with suspicion or amusement. Mind if I join you? Captain Kincaid's voice startled her. He sat across from her, setting down his tray. The crew watched with undisguised curiosity. Your engineers work hard, she said stiffly. All my crew does, he studied her. Your hands are blistered. She curled them under the table. Craxian skin heals quickly. Reynolds says your work has improved, dramatically. Thaxia felt an unexpected surge of pride at his acknowledgement. I adapt. Today's drill was a security test, Kincaid said, changing subjects. After the Navarian incident, intelligence suspected we might have an infiltrator aboard. Her crest perked up. The Navarians were hiding something. Yes, he admitted, but your method of addressing it nearly caused an interstellar incident. And your method caught the infiltrator. Not yet, but we've narrowed possibilities. He leaned forward. Reynolds mentioned you sensed something was wrong with the unscheduled drill. Thaxia blinked in surprise. It didn't fit your pattern of command. Good instinct. He pushed a data pad toward her. Starting tomorrow, you'll assist Lieutenant Wang in security, modified duty only, but better than recalibrating power couplings. As he stood to leave, Thaxia fought against the warm feeling his recognition gave her. Captain, why not just send me back to Craxia? It would be simpler. Kincaid's expression softened slightly. Because beneath that royal arrogance is a brilliant tactical mind and the heart of a true warrior. The Alliance needs both, once they're tempered with discipline. Long after he left, Thaxia remained, turning his words over in her mind. No one had ever challenged her like Kincaid. No one had ever refused to be intimidated by her rank or species. No one had ever seen past her title to her potential. For the first time, she wondered if perhaps there was something to learn from these humans after all, especially their stubborn, principled captain with eyes that somehow saw through her armor. The ship's observation deck was nearly empty at 300 hours, precisely why Thaxia chose this time for her meditation exercises. 3 months into her assignment, she had finally earned back most privileges, though the crew remained wary. Here, among the stars, she could reflect on how dramatically her perspective had changed. Trouble sleeping, Lieutenant. She turned to find Captain Kincaid entering the deck, his uniform jacket absent, replaced by a simple black undershirt that revealed toned arms. Craxians require less rest than humans, she replied, trying not to notice how the starlight caught in his dark hair. Mind if I join you? She gestured permission, and he settled beside her on the viewing bench. Your security rotation has been exemplary, he said after a comfortable silence. Lieutenant Wang speaks highly of your performance. High praise from someone who once called me an overgrown lizard with authority issues, Thaxia noted dryly. Kincaid chuckled. You heard that. Craxian hearing is also superior to humans. Then you've probably heard a lot of things. Yes, she turned to face him, including how many believed you should have sent me back to Craxia after the Navarian incident. He nodded. It was considered. Why didn't you? His eyes met hers, startlingly intense. I've learned to recognize potential even when it's hidden behind pride. And discipline is your solution to everything. Not discipline for its own sake, he clarified. Structure that allows growth. Thaxia considered this. On Craxia, discipline meant punishment. Kincaid's version was different, more like the careful shaping of a blade. "My father would like you," she admitted. "He also believes in forging strength through challenge. I'd like to meet him someday, under better circumstances than receiving complaints about his daughter." She felt her scales flush with warmth at his teasing tone. "Are you mocking a Craxian princess, Captain?" "I'm having a conversation with an exceptional officer." His smile faded into seriousness. "You've changed, Thaxia." The use of her name without rank sent an unexpected shiver through her. "Because I follow orders now. Because you understand why the orders exist. There's a difference." Their eyes held for a moment too long. Thaxia felt something shift between them, the professional boundary blurring into something dangerous and intoxicating. She turned back to the stars. "There are tensions between us." "Yes." On Craxia, such tensions between warriors would be resolved directly. "And how would that resolution look?" His voice was carefully neutral. Thaxia's crest flushed with color before she could control it. "Physical, passionate, without pretense. Earth has similar traditions, but I'm your commanding officer." "Another human rule," she risked glancing at him. "One you believe in. One that exists for good reason." But she noticed he hadn't moved away, and his pulse, visible at his throat, had quickened. "Craxians believe denying natural attractions disrupts unit cohesion," she said, sliding imperceptibly closer. "It creates distraction." Their hands rested inches apart on the bench. Kincaid's voice dropped lower. "And how do you suggest resolving this distraction, Lieutenant?" The formality of rank was a reminder, but his tone issued a challenge. Thaxia had never backed down from a challenge. "Human customs are complicated," she murmured. "Perhaps you should demonstrate the appropriate protocol." For one breathless moment, Kincaid remained still. Then his hand covered hers, warm and certain. "Protocol," he said softly, "would suggest we shouldn't be alone together at 300 discussing this. Then we're already breaking rules." His free hand rose to her face, fingers tracing the line of her crest with fascination. The touch sent electricity through her body. "Thaxia," his voice held warning and desire in equal measure. She leaned forward, closing the distance between them. "Everett," she whispered, testing his name. Their lips met tentatively at first, then with growing intensity. His hands found the sensitive ridges along her crest, making her gasp. Her claws traced gentle patterns on his arms. When they finally parted, Thaxia's entire body hummed with energy. "This complicates things," Kincaid said, his composure visibly shaken. "Life without complication is no life at all," she replied. The ship's comm system suddenly activated. "Bridge to Captain Kincaid. We're receiving a priority transmission from Starfleet Command." The moment shattered. Kincaid became the captain again, his expression shifting to professional concern. "On my way," he stood, straightening his shirt. "We should discuss this later," Thaxia finished, understanding. As he turned to leave, their eyes met once more. Something had fundamentally changed between them, something that would demand its own resolution, regardless of rank or species. Red alert klaxons pierced the ship's atmosphere as Thaxia raced through smoke-filled corridors. The surprise attack had disabled the Harmony's shields and weapons in the first volley, a perfect ambush that spoke of insider knowledge. "Security team to Deck 8, Lieutenant Wang's voice cracked over the comm. "Boarding parties reported." Thaxia changed direction, her warrior instincts fully engaged. 4 months of serving on the Harmony had transformed her from reluctant subordinate to dedicated protector. This was her ship now, her crew. Her captain. She hadn't spoken privately with Kincaid since their encounter on the observation deck a week ago. Both had maintained professional distance, though the tension between them remained electric. Now, with the ship under attack, personal complications meant nothing. Survival was all that mattered. She rounded a corner to find 2 unknown figures in environmental suits cutting through a bulkhead. Their movements confirmed her suspicions, Navarian assassins, using the chaos of battle as cover. "Intruders on Deck 6, Section Gamma," she reported, before launching herself at the nearest figure. The fight was brutal but brief. Thaxia's combat training made short work of the saboteurs, though not before one managed to inject her with something that burned through her veins like liquid fire. Staggering, she secured the unconscious attackers and continued toward the bridge. The poison slowed her, but Craxian physiology fought back, neutralizing it enough to keep her moving. When the bridge doors opened, chaos greeted her. Officers worked frantically at damaged stations while the viewscreen showed 3 Navarian vessels closing in. Commander Takashi lay unconscious, and Captain Kincaid, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead, was coordinating defense efforts. His eyes widened seeing her condition. "Lieutenant, you need medical." "No time," she interrupted, stumbling to the tactical station. "The Navarians infiltrated us weeks ago. That's why they reacted so strongly to my accusation. I was right." Kincaid nodded grimly. "They disabled our weapons specifically, too precise to be chance." "I can reroute emergency power through the auxiliary tactical systems," she said, her claws flying over the controls despite the poison's burning progression through her body. "The modifications I made before you disciplined me. They're still there beneath the recalibration." Understanding dawned on his face. The unauthorized changes to ship systems. "Yes, Craxian battle modifications." Her vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus. "Temporary weaponry designed for exactly this scenario." "Do it," Kincaid ordered. As she worked, the ship rocked with another direct hit. Thaxia's legs buckled, but Kincaid caught her, supporting her weight while she completed the sequence. "Almost," she gasped, fighting the spreading numbness. "There." The tactical display flickered, then stabilized, showing new weapon configurations coming online. "Fire," Kincaid commanded. The Harmony's response surprised the Navarian vessels. Concentrated energy bursts, distinctly Craxian in design, lanced out, disabling the closest enemy ship's propulsion systems. "How did you know?" Kincaid asked as the tide of battle turned in their favor. Thaxia's breathing grew labored. "I've been studying Navarian tactics since the diplomatic incident. Their attack patterns, too coordinated, they knew our weaknesses." "You saved the ship," he said softly. "You saved everyone." Her legs finally gave out entirely. As Kincaid lowered her gently to the deck, medical teams rushed in. "Not everyone, not yet," she whispered, her scaled hand finding his. "Navarian assassin venom, specifically designed for Craxian biology." Horror crossed his face. "Thaxia." "Worth it," she managed through clenched teeth. "For the ship, for you." The world faded as medical staff surrounded her. Consciousness returned slowly. Thaxia opened her eyes to find herself in sickbay, Captain Kincaid asleep in a chair beside her bed, his hand still holding hers. "The stubborn fool refused to leave," Dr. Petrov said, checking her vitals. 36 hours, and he left only when ordered. "The ship," her voice came as a rasp. "Safe, thanks to you. The Navarian plot was exposed. Turns out they've been planning this for months." Kincaid stirred at the sound of their voices, immediately alert when he saw she was awake. "Doctor, how is she?" "Craxian constitution plus our antidote worked wonders. She'll make a full recovery." When they were alone, Kincaid's professional mask slipped. His fingers traced the lines of her face with gentle reverence. "You disobeyed orders again," he said, his voice husky with emotion. "I ordered all personnel to evacuate Deck 7. You went there anyway to intercept the boarders." "Some orders must be interpreted creatively," she replied, her crest flushing with pleasure at his touch. "You almost died. A warrior faces death without fear." "And what about those left behind?" His voice cracked slightly. "Those who would mourn." Thaxia's hand rose to his face, claws carefully gentle against his skin. "I learned something important from you, Everett. True strength isn't just in battle prowess or fearlessness. It's in what we fight for, who we fight for." He turned his face to press a kiss into her palm. "The Alliance is sending a commendation. They're offering you command of your own vessel." Her crest flattened in surprise. "I don't want command, not yet." "No. I still have much to learn about discipline, about humanity." Her eyes met his meaningfully. "About partnership." His smile was both relieved and promising. "I believe that can be arranged, Lieutenant." "I believe it can, Captain." As his lips met hers, Thaxia reflected on how far she had come. She had arrived proud and untamed, certain of her superiority. Now she understood that true strength came not from dominance, but from the perfect balance of discipline and passion, power and restraint. It was a lesson worth learning, and a love worth finding across the stars.